Being the best basketball league in the world, the NBA is home to some of the best sportsmen we've ever seen. From elite athletes that can leap over opposing defenses to specialists that can drive through a whole team or make shots with a hand on their face, the league is full of exceptional players that can do things a regular person can only dream about. But despite most players already being very talented, there are some whose skills set them apart from their peers. Those players usually receive star status and can take over games by scoring in creative ways, bullying rivals with their physicality, or making unbelievable passes. Still, among those stars, there are a few players that stand out as some of the best the world has ever seen by being able to impact the game in a variety of ways. And while it's been clear for a few years who are the best players in the league, some emerging stars are making their way into that conversation. And Anthony Davis may be the best among them. Welcome to Courtside. Today we're talking about AD's growth as a player and whether he has a case to be considered the best player in the league. Before starting his NBA career and becoming a superstar, Davis had already learned how success felt like. During his lone college season, he led the Kentucky Wildcats to the NCAA championship while also breaking several records and receiving multiple awards for his excellent play. Shortly after, he was selected as the first overall pick in the 2012 draft by the then New Orleans Hornets. But before playing in his first game as a pro, he became part of the United States team that went on that year's Olympics and went undefeated in London as they won the gold. Davis had accomplished more than most basketball players before turning 20 or putting on a Hornets uniform. Considering how talented he was, most people thought it was only a matter of time before he managed to lead an NBA team to the promised land. But while it didn't take long for the world to notice the Brow had the skills required to shine at the pro level, it also became evident that New Orleans would need to find a great supporting cast to become a playoff team. Unfortunately, that's something they were never able to do. As the years went by, AD kept improving from an offensive standpoint while also remaining as one of the best defensive players in the league. He was able to increase his scoring, expand his range, and improve as a playmaker while also being among the league leaders in blocks per game. In other words, he quickly established himself as an elite two-way star. That helped him receive multiple All-Star and All-NBA selections, but it wasn't enough to make the Pelicans a playoff contender. During his 7 seasons in New Orleans, the team only qualified for the playoffs twice, winning a single series along the way. In the 5 years the Pelicans missed the postseason, they finished with one of the 4 worst records in the Western Conference 4 times. The franchise failed to build a roster that could win games consistently, which led to poor results during the regular season. Thus, Davis became frustrated with being unable to compete for a championship, and the team's worst nightmare came true in 2019 when he informed the front office he wasn't going to sign a new contract with them and asked to be traded. The way he, his agent, and the Pelicans handled the request was very controversial, but in the end, Davis had his wish granted and was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, where he would join 4-time MVP LeBron James. The move immediately turned the purple and gold into a championship contender, given both stars' talent and, especially, their fit on the court. And while there were some legitimate doubts about how long it would take them to figure things out, the Lakers quickly took possession of the first seed in the West and ultimately made their way to the championship. But as impressive as it was that he and James won a title during their first season together, the fact that he seemed to get better during the playoffs took many people by surprise. AD was already the defensive anchor of the Lakers and also led the team in scoring during the regular season. But he often struggled with his jump shot, and there were reasons to believe LA would have been better if he had decided to focus more on playing close to the basket instead of taking shots from the long range. But things suffered a drastic change once the postseason got going. Davis didn't increase his scoring too much, especially when compared to his previous postseason runs. However, his shooting averages improved considerably. When everything was said and done, he finished with career highs in field goal percentage and three-point shooting percentage. His efficiency took a step forward, and he displayed an outstanding offensive repertoire as the Lakers made their way to the championship without too much struggle. AD often made shots from the mid-range and long distance like he was a guard, something that became evident after he made a game winner against Denver in the conference finals. And while LeBron ended up receiving the finals MVP trophy by unanimous vote, there was a case to be made that Davis was also deserving of the award. After all, his impact on offense was as relevant as that of James, but he also had to cover up for his teammates whenever someone made a mistake on defense. Of course, that's not to say LeBron wasn't deserving of the award or that AD should feel upset about not having received any votes, but it leads to an interesting question. If Davis finds a way to get even better, should he be considered the best player on the Lakers? As the new season gets going, there are at least 2 reasons to believe the Brow will assume a larger role within the purple and gold. The first one has to do with LeBron's age, and while there are still no indications he's going to start slowing down anytime soon, the truth is he'll need to take better care of his body as the years go by, and that includes playing less time during the regular season whenever that's possible. The fact the Lakers weren't able to enjoy a full offseason will also be a factor in determining how much James will play during the regular season, so we should expect to see more minutes from him, at least during the first couple of months. The second reason has to do with Davis and his continued development as a player. After all, even though the star forward is already one of the most talented players in the league, he's still 27. In other words, there's a chance he'll continue adding new elements to his game or improving on those that were already part of his arsenal. And while it may seem complicated for a player his age to add new elements to the game, we must remember he has a teammate who has managed to keep improving on multiple areas of the game during the last decade. So even though we may not see Davis trying to do things he's never made before, there's reason to believe he can add a few things that make him even more dangerous. And shooting is one of those things. In fact, after his incredible shooting display in the playoffs, Coach Vogel told him to increase his three-point attempts to 5 per game. That would make Davis average the highest number of three-pointers in the whole roster if we look at the season's numbers. But there's no denying that by doing so, the team would become even better on the offensive end. Of course, expecting him to shoot as well as he did during the playoffs for a whole season may not be a realistic goal. However, if he gets more comfortable taking those kinds of shots, he'll undoubtedly become a better player. Other than that, there are not too many areas where he can make a considerable improvement. He could become a better playmaker, but given that he should not be tasked with being the main ball handler, there's no reason why that should be a priority for him. Still, he should be able to make a small improvement in most areas of his game by getting more experience. Another year in the league should help him make better reads and be better prepared to go against all kinds of situations and defensive schemes. So as a result, he should find it easier to make plays for himself and for his teammates. Last but not least, confidence may also become an important element in the way he plays from now on. When players win a championship, they become knowledgeable about the things that work and those who don't. If they had any doubts about whether their playing style could lead to a title, winning it all helps them validate the way they approach the game. In other words, they no longer have to worry about not making things the right way. Instead, they can focus on doing the things they already do well and improving on them. That means Davis, LeBron, and all of their returning teammates should feel confident about the way they play together and should be able to improve on the things that worked for them during last season. But now that we've talked about how AD may get better, where does he stand compared to other superstars? When looking at his body and skill set, it's hard to find any players that resemble Davis in his game. Kevin Durant, Kristaps Porzingis may be the only players capable of doing the things he does, but even then, the Brow may have an advantage. Porzingis is still developing his game, and with his new role as a second star, he may not be able to get to where Davis is. On the other hand, Durant is more skilled scorer than the power forward, and he's also a versatile defender and playmaker. Most other superstars are not as impactful on both ends of the court as he is. Only Kawhi Leonard and Giannis Antetokounmpo come to mind in that regard. But even then, AD has a size advantage over Kawhi and a much better shot than Giannis. So, could Davis be considered the best player in the league? As things are currently standing, it seems like only LeBron and KD could be considered to be better than he is. And since LeBron may not be able to play at full strength during the regular season, Davis may be able to start looking better than him in the eyes of the public, at least until the playoffs come around. Players like Leonard, Steph Curry, and James Harden are also elite superstars that can do things Davis may never be able to replicate. But considering his physical tools, skill set, and the fact he's playing in LA, AD may soon be being looked at as the best player in the league. In the end, Davis's combination of size, athleticism, guard-like skills, and elite play close to the basket makes him one of the most unique players to have stepped on a basketball court while also putting him in a position where he can become one of the best players in league history. Of course, he still has a long way to go, and winning a championship doesn't guarantee anything, but he has the talent to take over the league, and fortunately for him, he also has a teammate that was able to do just that before him and is willing to help him improve as a player. But now, do you believe Davis will become the best player in the league this season? If not, who do you think deserves that spot? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel so that you can receive more great NBA content. We are Courtside.